Welcome back, everybody, to Don't Go Out There. We appreciate y'all listening. Dustin and I have gathered today, real quick, just to discuss a movie that we both saw recently. I saw it last night, which was August 28th. I can't remember when you saw it. It was what, Sunday?
It was Sunday, the 25th.
Hell yeah, brother. We saw a movie that's kind of flying under the radar, sort of like Oddity did, which I think was a really good movie. It's called Strange Darling. Starred Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. Also had horror legend Barbara Hershey in it as well, which I thought she was really good in her role whenever she was on screen. Uh, I think the feeling is mutual between us. I think we're in this together and thinking this was a really good movie and we enjoyed it.
hmm
Give me your general
Yeah.
thoughts.
Well, general thoughts. I wasn't familiar with its game going in. I didn't see any trailers. I didn't see any promotional material. I just happened to look on my Regal app and see, hey, a horror movie. Let me look into it. Yeah, okay. So I saw this and Blink Twice as a double feature on Sunday. Went into it with absolutely no expectations. I mean, it could have been bad, but it couldn't have been the worst movie I've seen this year because I've seen some chunks of shit. And when it pops up on the screen, Miramax, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, Miramax is what it was what it was. We won't talk about the history and the founders scumbags, but they have new leadership, obviously. And when I saw that on the screen, I was encouraged. I was like, okay, we might be in for something here. Then the movie started, and I was all in. I mean, you know, you want to go spoilers or non spoilers?
Let's
It's been
spoil
out of yeah. Let's spoil it. Okay, so
it.
it's a I see, they let you know off rip it's a serial killer movie, and I'm like, okay, like I like it, I like it. Like I said, no trailer, no idea what I'm watching, so I'm in. And then, yeah, I mean, we'll go into the pros and cons, but the premise, once I saw that the Miramax encouraged me, then the premise, I was like, okay. Then I think that it's just a really good movie. You asked me a question that I've been struggling with: is it in my top 5 horror movies of the year? And my answer is going to be the same as what I gave you the other day or yesterday. If not, it's close because that's how much I like it and how highly I think of this movie.
Yeah, my general thoughts are I thought it was really good, man. I mean, I do have questions I want to ask. Like, I hope I didn't give you the "we need to talk" vibes last night. Whenever I said I wasn't going to say anything, yeah, I didn't hear much about this movie at all. The only thing that I really saw about it was, like X Twitter has the For You page now. Since I
Yeah.
follow so many horror accounts, Kyle Gallner pops up a lot, and I saw where he was kind of talking about it a lot, and just promoting it. And I saw where Dead Meat they interviewed like the director or whatever, and that's all. But I didn't listen to it. I knew very little about it, but I did see a lot of praise for the movie. Like it was really good. Like it's sleeper. It's a sleeper. Go see it. Go see it. And I pulled an Audible last night. I was going to go see something different, but you know, hashtag content always wins out. I have very few qualms with the movie. I do have questions I would like to ask you. And
Okay.
we just did a director's cut to Midsommar review. When this movie comes out, I hope there might be a director's cut that is a little different, and we'll touch on that when we get to not cons, but maybe just questions. Let's do our what's our positives, Dustin? What was your positives?
Positives for me is pretty much the whole damn movie. So this movie is told in a non-linear fashion, and that can cause issues. Go listen to our review of The Captive that just released today or yesterday, whenever you're listening to this. It released recently. Nico had issues with the nonlinear storytelling because it was hard to keep track of what timeline we're in. Story jumps around a lot. This one was brilliant in the way they did it because it tells you, it's like the title card says a story told in 6 chapters or something like that. And then every time we get a jump in the timeline, a jump in the story, it tells you on screen what chapter we're in. So it'd be like chapter 5, chapter 4, chapter 6, chapter 1. Like that's not the actual order, but just the way that it did that was a creative way to let us know what we're looking at when it happened so that we don't get confused about the timeline of events. I think that Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Garner absolutely killed it. They both did a fantastic job. And how about this? The cinematographer on this movie was Giovanni Ribisi. So you may know him from some stuff. He's been in a lot of movies. Saving Private Ryan, Gone in 60 Seconds. He was in Ted. He's a good actor. He was the cinematographer on this movie. I think that's incredible because we got some really good shots. There was some good camera work, a lot of good stuff, particularly. when they're in the car in the motel parking lot. I think the lighting and the shots that we got really good on that. Um, and then just the twist. So, like we said, this is spoiler ridden. So if you haven't seen it, turn it off. Turn this episode off. But the twist. It tells us it's a serial killer. The first thing we see is a guy chasing a woman down the road with a shotgun. Okay, he's the killer. Easy, right? She's running. She's scared to death. She's wearing scrubs. She's driving a old car. He's driving a nice truck and a nice shotgun. Looks like he's the killer. The twist is that he actually is trying to get her because she's the killer and she was trying to kill him. And the way that they did it, the nonlinear storytelling made it so effective. It's easy to tell that story in a linear fashion, and the twist wouldn't mean jack dick because we saw it happen in real time. But the way that they did it, we start out thinking, oh, he's the bad guy. Then, oh shit, it was her. Incredible. So I think I have a lot of positives about this movie. Not all that I can verbalize. I think it's just one of those movies that is worth watching to find out how good it is for yourself. The runtime, 96 minutes. That's great. That's a short movie. That was an easy Sunday for me. So, yeah, I mean, you go ahead, and if I think of any more, I'll go. But that's the biggest positives for me.
And you don't feel any of the runtime.
No,
Like
it's
96
the
minutes, you don't
pacing is
feel a bit
great.
of it. Yeah, you keep
Yeah,
your like this movie. Like the cinematography was great. I didn't know it was Giovanni Ribisi or whatever. You know, I was like, that name sounds so familiar, and I started scrolling through his cinema or his IMDb
yeah.
profile. He's in The Gift. He's Buddy. He
He's
was great
yeah,
in that
yeah,
role.
yeah, yeah.
I love
Exactly.
that. That
Yeah,
was a great movie.
yeah,
As soon as I saw it when I scrolled, I was like, yeah, I know, I remember that name now. The cinematography was great though. Like in the scene that sticks out to me the most is when they're in the truck together, you know, just drinking, kind of getting the feel of the night, and like they're like the camera is like zoomed in right on each other's faces as they talk to each other. I thought that
yep,
was brilliant. I'm gonna echo you real quick. Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner, fantastic. Love both
yep.
of their performances. Uh, you know, Kyle Gallner, he's as the girls on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, would say, he's a horror daddy or a scream king, whatever you want to call him. He's been in so many horror movies that we've reviewed and have yet to review. Actually, gonna be doing one he's in a couple weeks. Smile, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, Jennifer's Body, Scream 5, so many different movies. But I've never gotten to see Kyle Gallner carry a whole movie by himself, and he was great. Him
Yeah,
and Willow, they were both fantastic. I didn't know. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know he was that good of an actor. I mean, I knew he was good, but like he was pretty damn top notch. I thought he was great.
yeah,
Barbara Hershey as Genevieve and Ed Begley Jr. as Frederick. They were fun characters. They weren't on
yeah.
screen a lot, but they were fun. You know, they were just hippies and old bikers living in the woods. Uh, you know, I don't encourage texting in the movie theater, but I was by myself on my row, and I was sitting in the same seat that I did in Oddity. So there was a big, you know, gap above me that covered me from being rude or anything. But I texted you, Dustin, in the middle about their breakfast, and I was like, they're trying to die, but you know what? They're old hippies. They're just living their best life. Shout out to them. They had what, like 7 sticks of butter in their in their
Bro,
breakfast.
he put a whole stick of butter in the skillet and then just cracked the egg and it was frying the egg and all that butter. And what I text you, cardiac arrest on a plate because that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, hey, live your
I
best
ain't gonna
life.
lie,
But
it looked pretty good though. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah, but as soon as you swallow that stuff, your veins are going to harden. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
But anywho, back to the positives. I liked at the very beginning of the film, they said it was shot on all 35 millimeter.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the look of the movie look was great. Like it had, like it wasn't like Late Night with the Devil kind of gritty, but it had like that old school kind of grainy, gritty look. And I thought it was great.
It looks so much better than shooting digitally. Like I hats off to anyone who makes a full movie in 35 millimeter film because yeah, it looked incredible.
And Dustin's already spoiled this. Willa Fitzgerald is, I think, what's the serial killer's name? The Electric Lady,
The
I think.
Electric
Or
Lady, yeah.
yep, dude, she was so menacing and she was so cutthroat, and she was actually pretty funny in some spots. Like she would kill somebody, then look at another woman's like, all right, I'm not going to kill you. I know you're probably scared. You know, like when they're in the hotel lobby or whatever.
Yeah. She's like, you're not gonna believe me, but I don't want to kill you.
Yeah, it's like she was like kind of like remorseful a little bit, and I thought it was cool. Like whenever like she makes her run for it after she gets shot, and then the guy next door comes out. He's like, he's got a gun, and he's like, I got one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
non-linear,
that's another
the,
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to piggyback off that real quick. The it's hard to toe the line as far as too funny in a serious movie or not light enough. This movie, I think, captured that perfectly. The comedy that was added in was well timed, well executed, to where I didn't feel this is not a horror comedy, but it had some moments in it that you got a chuckle out of, and it was much appreciated.
Yeah. I will say there was one guy in my theater, like he wasn't rude or anything, but I think he has a pretty bad sense of humor because like he wasn't just like laughing, like he was straight up like dying laughing at some stuff. Like I was like, man, it wasn't that funny, man. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
chuckle, it was chuckle worthy, but not like bust out loud. But anywho, man, the gore looked great, the kills were
Yeah.
great. I did like the non-linear storytelling. Don't get me wrong; it makes the movie very unique. But here's my question: I would like to see the movie in a linear fashion.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying I would prefer that, but I think it would be cool to see it. I mean, it would get rid of like that opening scene, like the what the hell is going on kind of fashion because you already know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
But I would like to watch that movie in a linear fashion because I won't. Or this doesn't have to be necessarily be negatives, but I'm not trying to be that guy either. But I think it's in the second chapter that they start covering, not chapter 2, but like the second chapter of the movie that they get into,
Hmm.
where he's on top of her, choking the shit out of her. But then you realize
Oh,
like she just likes being dominated and she's into that
yeah.
kind of stuff. I figured the twist out. I was like, okay, he's not the killer right now because they're making it a
Okay.
serial killer movie. I was thinking as soon as she's like, that was great, but I want you to choke me harder. I was like, I don't think he's the killer anymore.
Okay. That's fair. I didn't pick up on that because in my mind, I still thought, just based off the opening scene, I still thought that he was. He just he. I think that I thought maybe he's got an order, a particular order that he likes to do things in. Choking her out's not his style, and so that's fair though. That's completely fair.
Yeah, and I promise I'm not trying to be that guy because trust me, all the Saw movies, I don't think I've ever figured out who the killer was until I saw it. Or the majority of the Scream movies, even though I'm disappointed by the reveal, I can never figure him out for the most part. But I did kind of feel like I was like, I think she might be the serial killer because I say that like that scene I was talking about where they're the really good cinematography in the truck while they're just drinking,
Yeah.
doing drugs and all that, trying to figure out if they're gonna have sex or just hang out or whatever. She asked about the woman giving up all of her her privacy, her witnesses when she goes into a room with a man, and she says like, I lose all my witnesses in case I'm going in there with a murderer. And I was starting to think maybe they're making a female serial killer movie. So I was like,
Okay.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. But I think it would be cool if they have a cut where you can just watch it in a linear fashion as well, just to compare them. Like I don't think it was bad, but it would be cool to see.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think that the way they did it was perfect. It suited what I wanted out of it. So, but I don't think that you're wrong in that thinking. And like you said, you don't think it's bad. So I respect it.
You want
Oh,
to
and
jump into
also,
your cons?
yes. And before I want to do that though, before I forgot, Stephen Michael Quezada was Pete, the deputy or the cop that shows up at the end. Shout out to him, man. That's Gomez from Breaking Bad. As soon as I saw him, I was like, hey, when I saw his name
Yeah, I
in the
recognize him.
open, yeah, sure. But when I saw his name in the cast or when they were showing the credits, I was like, that name, that's familiar. Who is that? I was trying to place it, and I saw him. I was like, oh shit, it's Gomez. But negatives for me, I would have liked to have seen more because we're doing it in non-linear fashion. So later in the movie, maybe go back to like do a prequel. You're doing it as a book, as a story in chapters. Do a prologue where you're showing some of her other kills, some of her what led her down this path. And maybe I don't know that I necessarily want it, but maybe they didn't do that because we're gonna get a sequel that's a prequel. But I don't necessarily want that. But I would like to see more of her story. I want to see some of the other kills that she had. Um, because she seems to be ruthless. I mean, she has somewhat of a conscience. She doesn't kill everyone, but I would have liked to have seen more of that. Other than that, man, I don't really have many negatives. Like I thought it was just a damn good movie. And maybe it's because I went in and blinked twice and was a little disappointed in it. I posted a little bit of a instant reaction on TikTok on the Pod's TikTok page, so go check that out. But I won't get into it here. But maybe it's because I was coming off that where I was a little disappointed that this one just looked better by comparison. But it was a damn good movie.
It was a damn good movie. Only cons I really have is Kyle Garner. He was really good. Don't get me wrong, but eventually it's like I feel like I know this is just a movie, but I feel like he stuck around a little too long. Like he just wanted to have sex. Like eventually he's like, all right, I'm done with this. But anyway, that's kind of a nitpick. Like I would have left way earlier than he did. Like I would have. First of all, I'm not into that kind of stuff. The BDSM kind of stuff. It freaks me out. I'm good on that part. But I feel like he stuck around a little too long. And the lady, she took some damage. Like she took a lot of damage. I mean, she just got right out of that car that flips over and kind of walks it off pretty easy. It's just, I'm really nitpicking here because I agree with you. The film is really good, but if you got to find a little bit of nitpicks, that's kind of, and the female cop at the end. No hate to
Yeah,
the ladies, but she was. I know you want to go like ladies, supporting other ladies and all that. Like you want to support a victim, but you got to find, like the guy said, you got to find out if she is a victim first. Like, what
yeah.
if he was the victim? So I think they kind of wrote the lady cop a little too. I don't want to say dumb, but maybe I don't know, too big of a heart. Maybe.
Yeah, so I gave props to Gomez, Stephen Michael Cazado when I saw when just for being in the movie. But honestly, those two cops annoyed the hell out of me. Like their dialogue, all of it wasn't my favorite. But also another con that I thought about, we find out that the demon or Kyle Garner's character, he's a cop. So I get wanting to get back at her. She tried to kill you, but he didn't call it in. He didn't call for backup. He just showed up and started wrecking shit, or tried to anyway. He's firing a shotgun in the middle of a country road. So I think that's a little bit unbelievable. I get that he may not want his colleagues to know, hey, I was in a motel room with this girl that I just met. Because I think his character was married, if I'm remembering correctly, wasn't he? Because
I can't
I thought
remember.
she mentioned something about a wedding ring or something. But regardless,
No, she
I
did.
he,
She did.
yeah. So he may not have been proud about what he was doing, but I don't know. I think he would the cops that showed up, they probably would have known what's going on before they got there, and they wouldn't have had to have questioned, is she even a victim? Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
because he
there's
made
that.
a phone call. Was it to that cop that showed up?
Yeah, I think he called the cops, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
because after he handcuffs her in the freezer, he goes upstairs and makes a call. So I'm just trying
Yeah,
to remember if I'm pretty sure
and the
that
cops
was.
showed up. So
Yeah,
yeah, you're probably right. We're a few days removed. I can't remember shit, but and then something I've thought about was, so he didn't want to do cocaine when she brought it out, but then he just like fuck it, he goes all in. But then I was bouncing. I was like, okay, he also was drugged, so he's probably just keeping doing that so he can keep the energy and like get that mental sharpness back because it is a
yeah.
hell of a pick me up. So I've heard, but so I don't really have an issue with him doing the cocaine. But then again, it makes him look like he's the killer when the cops do show up. So I don't know, back and forth on that. But the cops sucked all around.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the film more props. I thought when she was in the bathroom and it was all red, I thought it looked great. Uh,
Yeah,
they did do a good job of kind of in that first chapter painting her like she was the victim. It was really tense when he was chasing her through the woods because I mean, if you follow true crime, I don't know, I don't think you're really into true crime like that. But like, there's a guy named Robert Hansen in Alaska who would capture women and then let them free in the woods and then chase after them like they were a deer and shoot them. Like that's a real story. So it kind of gave you that kind of vibes.
yeah.
I thought the movie was really good, man. I'm excited to review it
So
when it comes out.
yeah, for sure. So I do like true crime. I'd like reading about it more than I don't. I'm not a documentary guy. Documentaries lose me for the most part. Lose my interest, and I don't. Listeners don't take me for don't follow my lead on this. But I don't listen to podcasts either, so I'll listen to ours occasionally. But so I do like true crime. But anyway, another thing that I'll give props for is, I'll be honest, man. A wig changes appearance like you wouldn't believe, because it took me a minute to put two and two together. That was even the same woman. I
Yeah,
was like, when they first cut to the truck and you see this redheaded woman, I'm like, okay, this must be one of his victims. But then once I put two and two together, and then she took the wig off, I was like, ah, okay. Like they did a good job in that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie was really good, man. But hey, Willa, you look good as a redhead. I'll just leave it at that. Dustin, I'm pretty content with cutting it there. I
Yeah,
encourage everyone to go see it. This is a good movie. It's really good. It's refreshing. I'm going to say I got a hot take now. 2024 has been a really good year in horror. I don't care what anyone says.
damn
To me,
good.
it's been great. It's been original. I mean, there's been very few, sequels to franchises or unnecessary BS that we don't need. I know Smile 2 is coming out next month. That might be one that actually justifies it being made, though, because I'm not a big fan of the first one. But there's
Yeah,
been a lot of original content this year, even if I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, even like In a Violent Nature, we're not the biggest fans of it, but it was refreshing.
yeah,
That's a cool
for sure.
notification we just got on our phone. I don't know if you
Yep,
saw that or not.
I
But
did.
any
Stay tuned.
one last thing. I was about to give the movie another comment or a compliment until okay, I remember. Speaking of a violent nature, that ending shot after the lady who picks her up and shoots her because she pulls a gun on her. I like that shot a lot. Like her, like following her and like she's progressing through the pain she's feeling, the blood loss. Like I thought that was a really good way to end the movie. I really
Yeah,
liked it
yeah,
because
for
I
sure.
was
And
curious if she was going to maybe she was going to try and shoot her again, but she didn't. But I like the ending. It was way better than In a Violent Nature. It was way more
yeah,
tense.
and you could tell like that character was well written too, because that woman that shot her, she didn't intend on doing that. She was just protecting herself. Because if she was intending on killing her, she'd have shot her again, like you said. And then just she looked so cool. I don't want to sound lame. She looked so damn cool after she shot her. She was holding that gun, like, yeah, what, bitch? Like, I like that.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I might would have gave her one of the old skibbity paps to the head though, just because I didn't know if I trust her. I mean, she did
Yeah,
try and shoot you already. But anyway, I thought it was a really good movie. 2024 has been a really good year of horror. A lot of new concepts, fresh scripts. I appreciate it a lot. I'm not excited for 2025 at all from what I'm seeing. A lot of sequels. I hope Neon and A24. I hope they come out swinging next year because not looking forward to next year honestly. Dustin, final thoughts before we get out of here.
yeah. So I'll just read my Letterbox review and give my score. What I gave it on Letterbox. Letterbox, I said, follow me at dmfrank underscore. 4 stars. Beautifully shot on 35 millimeter film with effective nonlinear storytelling and a great twist. So it's about as succinct as I can make it.
I'd probably give the movie like a 4 out of 5 right now. It could go. It
Yep.
could be higher on a rewatch. It's really good.
That's where
I
I've got it.
enjoyed it a lot.
That's
Uh,
how I feel.
hey, we appreciate y'all listening. Go see this movie when you can. If you listen to it before you watch this, you just had the whole movie ruined for you, so you probably won't like it. But we appreciate y'all listening.
Support cinema.